Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cambodia Global Dialogue. My name is Sok Siphana. Before we move to our main program, which today is about innovation in human resource development to enhance the country competitiveness, let me just set the stage a bit for those who have not seen our previous show. What is the Cambodia Global Dialogue? It is an initiative of Southeast Asia TV. The idea is to promote better understanding of the various global and regional issues which may affect Cambodia. The idea is to engage renowned personality, whether they are international, national, or local, to come and share their experience, their wealth of knowledge base with regard to various global, or regional, or national issues for that matter, and how we can extract, how do we can use this lesson learned, their experience, and try to share that with the rest of the audience. And we would hope that some of us out there would pick some good idea. If it's a bad idea, you throw it away. But the gist is, there has to be something that we can learn from each other, particularly those who are considered expert in the field. As today we have the pleasure to have with us Sandra D'Amico, a good friend of mine for that matter. Sandra is a founder and managing director of HR Inc. Cambodia, and also of BD Link Cambodia, which is a consulting firm. Foremost, Sandra is known in her work and her passion in the so-called area of human resource development, capacity development, leadership development, and she's quite active in the Cambodian scene for the last 9 years or so. The crowning of her experience took place a few months ago when she received this 2010 award for HR Leadership Award for Excellence in Singapore. And 2 years ago in 2008, she received an Outstanding Woman Entrepreneurship Award in Hanoi. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to have her on the show today, and we hope that we can exchange some idea on how we can look at the innovation in the human resource development in the country, and how we can look at a sort of paradigm shift a bit in terms of moving from the so-called high labor intensity, low value, toward a much more value enhanced workforce, better productivity for better skill, and hopefully, reducing costs and bringing down what we like to call, the barrier to entry for many foreign investors who look at Cambodia sometimes with a different perspective. They say, oh, Cambodia workforce is unskilled, your wage is too high, you're a dollarized economy, and as such, there's not much opportunity for me to make money. So these are the perception that people have in Cambodia. But I believe that much has been done in recent years by organizations like HR Inc., for example, or other institutions, whether they're private sector, they're public, or civil society, in the area of human resource development, in capacity building, or to put in plain English, in training, our Cambodian workforce to move up the value chain. Maybe before we go further, Sandra, maybe you can say a bit as a matter of introduction about your organization a bit, what you've been doing the last several years in this area, and this way give a context for our audience to better appreciate your background.
Right. Thank you, Siphana. I have been working in Cambodia for 9 years, and in 2005 I set up HR Inc. Cambodia. And at HR Inc. we work specifically on human resource issues, consulting, recruitment, training and development, and outsourcing. Our aim really to foster human resource development and bring together information, which is certainly one of the biggest challenges we face in Cambodia. Sharing of information, access to information, and so that's our main aim at HR Inc. BD-Link we set up as a business development service firm to help SMEs grow, to focus on the topic of innovation, as well as incubation and starting of businesses. So that is very much what I'm focused on doing in Cambodia. I'm also very involved at a policy level, working with a few associations, the Employers Association, CAMFIBA, the Cambodian Federation of Employers and Business Associations, and they're working on a policy in a much broader level on issues that our industries are faced with, whether it's the development of social security networks and our social security fund, the development of our trade union law, the evolution of our labor law as our environment changes and becomes more industrialized. So I hope that I can certainly contribute to the show and share my experience with the audience today.
Sandra, you know, we all suffer a bit in the last several years from the global financial crisis, not just as Cambodia, but in the West, the US, the EU. We all know that it's a recurrent event on CNN and BBC. But countries, whether least developed country, developing country, or advanced country, have to come to terms that in this, even before the crisis, they have to compete.
Right.
Let alone the post-crisis.
Right.
They have to compete harder. So in this sense, in the context of this fragile economic recovery, country have to rethink their strategy, how to better, regain the market share. Industry, for that matter, because to me, the country do not compete. It is the industry, it is the firm, who compete. But ultimately, it boils down to who is the firm? What is the firm? A firm is a sum of people. And it is the people who actually make the machine work. It's the people who actually produce something. It's the people who actually, go to sleep or work harder or work late or, be creative, that sort of thing. So what I see in this post-crisis mode is government effort. Cambodia government, no different than Vietnam, Thailand, or China or the US, is to think how we can have that extra competitive edge. And a lot of us would look more from the hard infrastructure. We got to invest into infrastructure, or we need more money to pour into the banking sector, or we need new equipment, we need to update our latest technology. But I think not many people realize that, yes, these are great. Infrastructure is great, but you have to also look at the soft infrastructure, which is the human dimension. Right. So here I see the paradigm shift a bit, moving toward looking people as just a worker, as a workforce, but how some firm, how some country even have a policy to empower people to innovate. Firm push to say, look, here you're responsible for this. Our firm, if we are not productive, we're not competitive, we may die. And then certainly the important lie in the hand of the worker. Right. In this context, I may want to tap your experience a bit, sitting in the board of one of the NGO who has helped in the program with USAID to help build the productivity, skill of the garment industry. And my understanding is that it has received a lot of praise from the garment industry. I met some factory manager. They say, look, we are very happy to snatch these people who got trained by this productivity skill, and now they can come and work in a factory, better wage, better, sort of like a reward, better recognition. But how you do it?
Right. Siphana, I think you touch on a very important issue there. I think as investors and industries, we are always focusing on the issues such as infrastructure costs, such as quicker processes, faster processes, and I don't think we have given enough attention to our workforces. The economy is changing very quickly. The government has a strategy for industrializing the economy, and to be able to do that, our workforce needs to develop with an industrialization economy. I think that, for example, our garment sector, and certainly where I'm on the board of the Cambodia Skills Development Center, the focus is very much where do we take our workforce now. We've had a very successful years in the garment sector, which was very hard hit by the financial crisis. And now it's time to evolve. We cannot keep all our eggs in one basket. We need to go to the next level. And I think everybody recognizes this. There's a much harder push towards skills development. Education is high on the government agenda. And CASDEC is certainly trying to work closely with the industry that is also looking to establish a national training centre where we can actually train up the workforce to be more productive, to be more skilled, and to be better equipped for the future. In the financial crisis, where we lost an enormous amount of jobs in the garment sector, one of the biggest challenges was what are the skills to move you to another sector.
Okay.
And we weren't ready and we weren't prepared to be able to retrain such a big workforce into another sector. So I think the challenge of building up the workforce in an innovative way is a responsibility of all the different players. It's industry, and our industry leaders need to get together. It's government, and we need to work closely with government. And it's the workforce and the unions as well that we need to work closely with together so that there is a better link between education systems, workforce development, so that we can actually manage better next time we have a crisis. And there's great opportunity to develop our workforce. And we need to work closely together to be able to achieve appropriate training institutions that address the needs of the market.
I keep hearing from what you say, partnership.
Yes.
Yes. Whether it's intergovernmental partnership, I can see that the Ministry of Education have a very good education policy. The Ministry of Labour have a very good vocational training policy. They even have institutions established to push this vocational training. But then I see also sectoral ministry like the Ministry of Industry, for example, the Department of Industry, the General Department of Industry, have a very clear vision on where they want to see the development of the industrial sector, right? As much as the Ministry of Agriculture, with the Prime Minister Sandra, who's pushing now the development of the rice industry, the agriculture industry, we see the need to have this coherence. We need to see this partnership inter-government agency, but as well with the public, but private sector and civil society, because they do play a big role, particularly in the area of capacity building, right? So I'm very happy to hear this partnership being evolved. I want to touch base a bit on one thing that you had said, that we have suffered quite dramatically from the garment industry, who have suffered a big reduction of their workforce, the difficulty to retrain this mass. But I want to see how, in the context of this process to sort of like diversify into area of high growth, and here I'm talking about high value productive sector. in area like, for example, food and beverage, in the area of creative industry, even in handicraft for that matter. Cambodia is well known for handicraft, high-end handicraft that even move into the fashion industry.
Right.
So, let alone, of course, moving up the agro-industry sector. But I see a need, a strong need to sort of like bring up the quality of the training of the workforce to move up this value chain, this so-called hierarchy of skill chain there. How do you see, we can do that, and how, what will be the best approach? I like to start with more low-hanging fruit, because there are certain things which are very idealistic, but it may take us 10 years, 20 years. But in the context of Cambodia, where we need to secure new sources of growth, we need to get our workforce more value for their work, for their sweat, for their blood. What are some of the areas that you think could be helpful?
I think that the issue of collaboration is so important, because we can innovate and create opportunities for investment. But if we don't bring the workforce with those opportunities, it's not going to be fruitful in the end. And it's very challenging to coordinate different sectors on education, on training, on making sure that every ministry has a workforce development strategy. How we're going to do that, when we're going to do that, what are the skills to do that, what is the infrastructure to do that. So I think it has to start with stronger private sector, education, government linkages.
Yes.
And that is very difficult to do. At the moment, especially on the higher education sector, although it's improving, we are not training for industry. In terms of what the skills are needed, we're training for industry because the industry is growing. And the other challenge in the education is ensuring that we set the expectations for the young people. If you are studying hotel and management,
Yes.
what are you going to do when you are finished?
Yes.
I think that very often the young people have a misconception of exactly what you're going to do when you're in the workplace.
Yes.
For the mass workforce, it's about continuous development. It's about access to information as well. How do they know about new sectors? How do they know about new opportunities? And then, of course, our SME sector, which is the sector in Cambodia, where we have so many businesses and so many little production opportunities.
Yes.
It's about the civil organizations having access to those. But it's not about mass training anymore. It's about quality training.
Okay.
And we have to improve the quality of our training that addresses the needs of the industries. One thing that has certainly come out in the hotel sector, where there are a lot of NGOs training, is that each NGO has a different strength. This one is very good at customer service and confidence. The next one is really good at cooking skills. And when the students graduate and they go into the hotels, they all have different skill sets and not a common standard. And so the issue of developing competencies and standards is very important. That's not only coordinated by the government, but amongst training institutions as well, so that our training institutions are developing skills that the sectors really need.
Sandra, I mean, I'm glad you touched the issue of tourism ministry, because in the context of the ASEAN mutual recognition arrangement, I have a long chat with the Minister, His Excellency Minister Thongkhon, Minister of Tourism, and he's quite excited about the prospect at one point to have a training, it's more than training, it's a competency, sort of arrangement where, you know, if you graduate from a certain institution recognized by the country, it will be recognized by also by the ASEAN hotel industry, meaning here opportunity opens up not only in Phnom Penh or in Siem Reap or Sihanoukville, but also in Phuket, also in Singapore, also in Langkawi, where a person who got that competency certificate, a standard one, you know, could apply for a job, to work for Le Méridien or to work for, you know, Intercontinental, not in Cambodia, but in other countries. So the notion of norm is very important.
Very important.
Same standard, higher caliber, not mass training, but focus on an industry specific. Here we talk about tourism, but I see another area of high growth. Let's face it, the government is looking for new source of growth. You know, we have a garment industry, it's fine. We're happy if it's stabilized. We have tourism industry, it's going to be there. You know, we have Angkor Wat, we have the beach, we can develop. But you cannot miss the trend of the ICT, of the information and communication technology. The world is moving fast in that end. And I see the generation of young Cambodian, you know, who are well capable in the IT sector. What sort of training, what sort of competence building you need to help focus this sort of, you know, generation change there?
Right. I would like to add to what you say that I think Cambodia is so well positioned. I think we should have a training industry for the region, whether it's ongoing professional development training or whether it's vocational training. I think we have enough resources to do that, and certainly, as you mentioned, the tourism sector is going to open a culinary school, which is going to be of a very high standard and recognized by Swiss standards and Swiss schools. This is very, very exciting news for the hotel sector. And I think, as you say, we should not only think about our workforce and addressing the needs in country, but certainly the region, because there are opportunities regionally. And certainly in the hotel sector, where you look at all the Singapore big developments going up, in Vietnam as well, in Cambodia as well, there's a great opportunity for our workforce to be more international. So yes, I think that there should be more training institutes in Cambodia that are competency driven, and CASDEC certainly is trying to look at garment sector competencies, so that we are recognized and we're a skilled workforce, and when somebody gets a Cambodian application, we say yes, we know the Cambodian standards are high. And that requires drive from the industry leaders, drive from and cross-sectoral as well, which is always the challenge. You can have skills for an industry, but issues such as communication, management, supervisory skills, the soft skills are all cross-cutting across all industries. And how do we coordinate best to make that a reality? You talk about technology as well, and that's cross-cutting for everything. Whether you're a chef in Le Méridien Hotel, you have electronic systems for orders coming through, and so even the chef and the cook needs to know how to use technology. And so ICT, certainly we have a great opportunity there as well, given where we're located, to be an ICT leader. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel, though. There's lots of standards, there's lots of best demonstrated practices we can actually draw from. So it is really the business associations that need to drive that discussion with government, in our government private sector working groups, to make sure that there is more collaboration and strengthened and productive collaboration between all the parties involved. But I think we have a great opportunity to develop our workforce. I think we need to be focused more on technical training, less on the idea that if you get a university degree, that's your ticket to freedom. When we look at the industries that are growing, the agriculture, the processing, it's, I'm not saying don't go to higher education, I'm saying technical vocational training can give you the skills a little bit quicker to enter the workforce and be productive, and then you can pursue higher education. So from that perspective, I think it's very important that we promote technical vocational training, which is shorter courses which give Cambodians skills to enter the workforce quickly.
Sandra, we're coming toward the end of our program. Unfortunately, it's only 30 minutes. But I'm going to try to recap a bit some of the underlining message that you've been saying. It's quite interesting in terms of positioning, helping position Cambodia, in this case, in the regional context. The regional context in the sense that how can we, look at innovating way to build the capacity of our workforce, not just to supply the national industry, but to position them in a better workplace, better high paying career, for example, in the hospitality industry, in Singapore, in other high-end resort, where they have acquired through a standard competency driven process, the recognition not only by Cambodia, but also by other fellow ASEAN countries. And here you mentioned the notion that cross-cutting issue in terms of management skill, communication skill, supervisory skill, even IT skill are fundamental if we are to elevate our workforce from just being a worker in a factory into at least a mid-level managerial leadership type of position in the industry. And I'm glad that you mentioned that the Ministry of Tourism is working to have a culinary school where been accredited or accepted by a Swiss institution. This is something we should be proud. So if I can just wrap it up, I would say that partnership is important. Public-private sector partnership is very important. Partnership within the industry is very important to support each other in having a cross-cutting, standardized competency skill. Partnership between Cambodia and a regional country like ASEAN is important. And in some, if we look at this, the sum of all this partnership, Cambodia can really use this human resource, this capacity building, this competency framework to help elevate or propel Cambodia from just being a small, least developed country into at least a decent player in the regional ASEAN context. So I'm glad. I thank you for this thought and exchange. Well, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of our program, unfortunately. But I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to have a nice exchange with Sandra. But before we close, Sandra, tell me about your 2 awards. Briefly.
My 2 awards are not mine. They belong to the team in my office. There's no way I can do what I'm doing without my team in the office. And so I'm very proud to have received them for me, for Cambodia, which shows what we can do. We can play on an ASEAN and an Asian region, and I hope that I will have the energy and the leadership to help my team to develop further and for our office to grow. So I thank my team for all their support and hard work. It's certainly their reward and not mine.
So, in sum, we can do it.
Yes, we
Cambodia, we
can
can do
it.
it. Yes.
No question about that.
Well, thank you, Sandra, and I hope to see you next time when the opportunity arises on a much more focused issue on innovation in the Cambodian labor force.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You.